Well, I certainly would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak. It's a great honor and a privilege to join such a distinguished group. What I'd like to talk about today is something that I think most of you are very well acquainted with, and that is problems that we confront as we live in these very difficult and traumatic times. We confront challenges that grow each day, challenges which not only threaten our well-being, but perhaps the very existence of this planet. Unfortunately, I would say so far our responses to many of these challenges have been characterized by denial, confusion, dissension, and delay, often driven not only by ignorance, but by greed or national agendas at odds with the broader needs of our citizens and the greater international community. In the short time that I have, permit me to mention two challenges that I think also need to be addressed, along with the many others that you will be addressing in this program or have addressed in this program already. First, I'd like to mention the continued proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Despite the fact that we have treaties such as the Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons and the Chemical Weapons and Biological Conventions, which include nearly all nations, several states today remain outside of these treaties and are known to have or are developing nuclear or other weapons of mass destruction. And we know terrorist groups are seeking fissile materials and other components needed in the production of such weapons. Furthermore, one of the principal parties to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons has recently threatened to use nuclear weapons and is suspected of having used or is preparing to use chemical weapons in its unprovoked invasion of another country. Thus, the prospects, in my view, of a deliberate use of weapons of mass destruction or a use arising from escalating tensions and miscalculation are a very real and present danger, with massive casualties and long-term effects on the planet that cannot easily be measured. However, it is within our grasp to alter the current trajectories that limit human potential and threaten our existence. We must guarantee that the consequences of any use of nuclear, chemical, biological, or radiological weapons are so odious that no state would dare to do so. We also must redouble our efforts to further reduce the numbers and availability of such weapons and reinvest our scientific potential in technologies that will advance humanity. The second thing I'd like to mention is income inequality, both within and among nations. Just 1.1% of the global population hold nearly half of the world's wealth. Over 55% of the world's population hold only 1.3% of total global wealth. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the gap is growing between the rich, super rich, and the rest of human society. Moreover, COVID has exacerbated the problem. 2020 marked the steepest increase on record of the global billionaires' share of the wealth. Such inequality not only breeds contempt, but also discontent among the poorest people and nations, and gives rise to conflicts within and among nations. Sadly, it also has a significantly adverse effect on economic growth that is so essential to the betterment of mankind. It is true that over the last 4 decades, extreme poverty has been significantly reduced in some parts of the world. The world economy has been growing For many peoples and countries around the world, increased productivity has significantly reduced poverty, but many, unfortunately, remain impoverished. As Max Rosen and Esteban Ortiz Ospina noted in their article on global extreme poverty, to quote them, global poverty is one of the worst problems the world faces. Too many people often go hungry, suffer from poor health, lack basic medical care, have less access to education and vital services, and regularly have no light at night. Each day, 25,000 people, including more than 10,000 children, die from hunger and related causes. Some 854 million people worldwide are estimated to be undernourished, and high food prices resulting from climate change and unwarranted wars may drive another 100 million into poverty and hunger. Addressing income inequality, both within and between nations, may be even more difficult than dealing with the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, because it is often driven by greed. Wealth, in and of itself, is not a bad thing. Excess capital often is reinvested in the economy and provides jobs, as well as seed corn for technological innovations that improve the human existence. However, the conspicuous accumulation of wealth in excess of need often has deleterious impacts on humanity. Those who have a lot of money make a lot of money with it. Money makes money. As a result, most of the money flows to the top of the financial pyramid and is concentrated in a few, who often are much less interested in improving the lives of the poorer segments of society, which they frequently view with disdain, than accumulating more wealth to themselves. This is what we call greed. Does anyone really need a 400,000 square foot home? That's right, 400,000 square feet. A home owned by a tycoon in Mumbai, India. And he is not alone among those who own homes that are over 100,000 square feet. Who needs a 590-foot mega yacht? You can buy one today from the Emir of Abu Dhabi. Or maybe you can make an offer to Russian billionaire Alshir Usmanov for his 500-plus foot yacht. And again, those people are not alone among those who own such mega yachts. It is sometimes argued that the building of such homes and mega yachts have a positive economic impact. But does that money trickle down to those in need? The answer, if you look around the globe, seems self-evident. In today's society, the rich get richer and the others become relatively poor. The gap between the rich and the poor is growing in leaps and bounds. The price of this is the lives of billions of people who, given better health and education, would contribute greatly to improving the human condition. This inequity, ladies and gentlemen, must not stand. Can it be changed? Not easily. Money talks. Money not only buys mega yachts and mega homes, it buys autocrats and democrats. The latter, often through legally authorized massive donations in support of campaigns, which then get those people elected to office. And of course, while those people once elected will adamantly deny it, it strongly influences their decisions, which favor their wealthy contributors and not necessarily the general public. On the other hand, autocrats are bought directly and indirectly through corrupt practices. How else would the likes of Vladimir Putin acquire an estimated $200 billion? Such money provides autocrats with funds to pay off those who keep them in power, the oligarchs, the internal security forces, the military, as well as fund their means of repression and or buy off the public. What else would an autocrat do with $200 billion? So what can be done? We need to work toward a major change in the way we view peoples and societies. The world won't change on its own. Among what needs to be done, big money needs to be reined in. We need to respect other peoples and cultures and views that they offer that differ from our own. We don't have to agree with those points of view, but we should respect those points of view while articulating our own. We need to limit armaments and be willing to confront unwarranted, unprovoked aggression. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we need to move beyond the narrow definition of the individual and national self-interest and think creatively about how to solve the pressing problems that threaten our future and the future of the planet. We need a more creative society. And again, thank you very much for inviting me to speak.